Investment banking. It's a term that you have probably heard a lot in movies, in the news, maybe even on LinkedIn. It sounds glamorous, but what does it really mean to work in this world? And more importantly, what does a business analyst like me actually do in this space? Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm business analyst and I'm working here at Canary Wharf in London in most iconic financial hubs in the world. In this video, I will walk you through a day in my life and share what work I do. Also, along the way, I will break down what actually investment banking is and how different area of it operates. My day usually at office starts around 8:30 a.m. First stop, of course it will be coffee. Once I am at my desk, the very first things I do is to check urgent emails. In investment banking, there is always time-sensitive updates, from overnight market movements to critical issues reported by trading or operation teams. For me, it's very important to clear anything urgent early in the day so I know exactly what is requiring my attention, and then I can continue on with my daily routine and focusing on the project that I am managing. Before we go further, let me explain you what actually investment banking is, because it's a very broad term and it covers different areas. At its core, investment banking exists to help governments, corporations and institutions manage their money, raise capital and make strategic financial decisions. It's not just about trading stocks or bonds, it's about providing financial services that keep the global economy running. So here let's break down what are the 5 key areas of the investment banking. First, we have corporate finance and advisory, or also very often called as the merger and acquisition or M&A. This area focuses on advising companies on major strategic moves like merger, acquisition, or maybe raising capital through debt or issuing equities. Think about a large tech company acquiring smaller competitors, or maybe government issuing the bonds in order to expand their infrastructure. An investment bankers structure, price and manage deals from start to finish. The following divisions we have: sales and trading. This is what people very often imagine when they think about investment banking. Traders, sales team who are buying and selling securities like fixed income, derivatives, equities or FX. Their job is to provide liquidity to the market and execute trades efficiently for clients. Asset and wealth management. This side focuses on investing client money wisely. It could be managing pension funds or maybe the portfolio of the high net worth individual, with all the goal to increase the wealth while managing the risk. Risk management is about identifying, measuring and controlling financial risk to keep the bank safe and stable. One of the most important types is a market risk, because it comes from the movements in the financial markets. For example, if the interest rate go up and the bond prices they suddenly starting go down, and if the bank owning any of those assets, it means it can face significant losses. Market risk team will work closely with the traders to measure exposure in real time, run stress tests and ensure that bank is not overexposed to the dangerous level of volatility. From technology perspectives, we build and maintain advanced risk systems which allow those teams to make decisions accurately and quickly. As the business analyst, my job is to ensure that those systems meet needs of both risk manager and traders. And finally, we have operation teams who ensure that all the trades are settled correctly, system runs smoothly, and make sure also the bank complies with the regulations. All of those divisions that we went through, from the corporate finance, risk, trading, asset and wealth management, operation, all of them, they work together in order to build an engine for investment banking. So let's move on with my daily routine. So once I clear up all the urgent emails, maybe catch up with some overnight development, in the morning I like to block, which I call it usually focus time between 10 and 11 or maybe 11:30. This time actually I would avoid joining any calls, and here I wanna focus and dig into some deep analysis, documentation and testing. So here, for example, I would be working on analyzing some new requirements that came from risk manager and traders, or maybe doing detailed UAT, which stands for the user acceptance testing. So UAT we do in order to ensure that any improvements and changes that we do in the system, it actually meets stakeholders' requirements and needs before we go live, and of course it doesn't break anything in the system. This quiet time is so essential because once you get to the calls and discussion, it's very easy to get swept up into the back-to-back discussion for the rest of the day. This means that I'm not just focusing on the analysis or design, but I'm also driving and managing project from end to end and keeping all the stakeholders updated on regular basis. It all starts with the conversation, talking to the traders, risk manager and operation teams to fully understand their needs and pain points. For example, a trader needs a faster way to see their exposure, or maybe a risk manager, they are looking for a new report to meet regulatory requirements. And my job here is to dig deep and ask the right questions to make sure I understand what will be the outcome and what is success for each of the requirements for each of stakeholders. Once I have the requirements, then I can dive into the data, because of this is quite important, especially when we have to deal with the risk and PA attribution numbers. PA is the price alignment adjustments, which help to break down the trader's profit and loss into the components like market movements, new trade, cancel trades or funding costs. And one of those videos I actually went through about what is exactly PA attribution stands for, so have a look at this. If requirements is linked to the PA risk reporting, then I will have to by myself look into the numbers to understand the issue. This might involve tracing data flow end-to-end, validating calculation to spotting and finding the root of cause. In investment banking, even a small data error can lead to the huge implication. That's why this step is so critical. For example, if risk manager they have spotted that some numbers in the reporting doesn't look correct, it means that in my job I will have to closely work with the trade capture system, market data team, risk engines to validate and understand if the calculations are correct. So here where we have to find the spot, the root causes of those problems, and to understand also how can we fix those. Once the problem is well understood, I document the current processes, identify the gaps and propose solutions. This documentation is like blueprint, and it will help me to have business and technology teams align on what exactly needs to happen next. With the clear requirements and solid understanding of the data, now I can translate everything into the actionable technical specification for developers. This is where I act as the bridge between a business and development team, because I need to make sure that business requirements are understood by developers. So here everyone needs to speak the same language. Before anything goes live, I help test the solution in UAT, which I mentioned already stands for the user acceptance testing. This would involve checking trade flows, validating calculation, and to ensure the system in the testing environment work exactly as business, traders, and risk manager expected to. This is the final checkpoints before we go into the production, and this is where we can find any last-minute issues. The next important part of my job is the project management. As I briefly mentioned before, a lot of people they overlook and they think that business analyst it's all about writing requirements, doing analysis, but it's also about managing the entire project life cycle. I am here responsible for coordinating across the teams, making sure that we are meeting deadlines, all the blockers are removed, and also everyone is aware of what is happening next. As a big part, there is also stakeholders communication. So this is where I keep updated the traders, risk manager, product development team, and tech leads to make sure they understand the current stage of the project and there is also no surprises. If a release day change or maybe some unexpected issue came up, so my job is also here to make sure that every stakeholder is informed and I'm confident in a plan of moving forward. In short, my role covers everything from understanding complex data to managing timeline and stakeholders, all while ensuring that actual solution that we are building will bring value to the business. I would say it's a mix of the analysis, communication, and maybe of course a bit of the leadership, which actually makes everything in the same time challenging, of course, but exciting. Around lunch, I usually grab a bite with colleagues or take a quick walk around the Canary Wharf. It's a great way to reset before the afternoon wave of calls and meeting kicks in. So if someone will ask me what actually keeps me excited at my job, then I would say definitely it will be variety and the impact that I can see, especially once we deliver some significant project or milestone. You get to see how global markets operate behind the scene and you play a part in shaping technology that drives them. If you're considering to become a business analyst in investment banking, here are a few tips that I would like to share with you that helped me in my career. First is business knowledge. You need to have a good understanding how actually financial instruments work. You need to understand what are the fixed income, what are derivatives, equities, FX products. Sharpen your communication skills because of your work with very senior people in investment banking, and you need to understand how to translate complex business requirements to your developers. Master agile tools like Jira, Confluence, and other similar which are currently practiced in the industry. So that was a snapshot of my life as the business analyst in investment banking. If you enjoyed this video, you might also like this one. And please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And thank you very much for watching me and see you in the next video.